Hello, everybody. Welcome back to Starkey Farmstead. So I want to talk to you about something I think is very, very important. So if you didn't know, there's a real life Handmaid's Tale going on. It's not in America. And you probably couldn't guess where it's coming from. China. So if most of you remember, China has and always has been a one child per family country. A recently released census in the People's Republic of China reminds us that China is just as bad as the Republic of Gilead when it comes to the treatment of women. More about the census in a moment, but perhaps you are already saying that it's not a responsible comparison because Gilead is fictional. In The Handmaid's Tale, the government of Gilead, to compensate for infertility crisis, has institutionalized rape in order to force young women, known as handmaids, to bear children. Well, now it looks like the government of China is going to pull something very similar. China urges more babies, but many women resist. This is an article from NewsNation. It says that the Chinese president has urged women to have more children as the nation grapples with an aging population and a record decline in birth rate. Not all women agree, though. According to the National Bureau of Statistics, data obtained by the Wall Street Journal, the number of births declined to 9.56 million in 2022, down from 10.62 million in 2021. Despite the demands to have more children, women are saying no and putting themselves ahead of what Beijing wants, according to the Wall Street Journal, and their refusal has set off a crisis for the Communist Party. China is pushing a birth-friendly culture, which has taken on the tone of an urgent national mission, with government organizing matchmaking events and program encouraging military families to have babies. It is so bad that basically the government is calling people on the phone, people in communities, and saying, hey, have you had children? Did you just have children? Are you on your period? Aren't you ready to have a third child? And women have just about had enough, folks.
Offices nationwide. These offices are essentially repurposed from the former family planning offices, now tasked with pressuring people to have children. One person commented, 30 years ago, it was the family planning office. 30 years later, it's the birth encouragement office. They control your uterus. If they say no kids, then no kids. If they say have kids, you must have kids. The CCP's policies just keep flipping back and forth like a pancake. Recently, numerous people have taken to social media to complain. Some report that right after registering their marriage, neighborhood committees started calling them to encourage them to have children. Others say the community called just 3 days after their wedding to ask if they were pregnant. Someone's sister, who had just had their second child, received a call urging her to have a third. Even pregnant women are regularly contacted, with calls checking in to ask if they intend to keep the baby. These frequent phone calls and even home visits have left people feeling frustrated. This is just outrageous. Now, if we're not having children, the neighborhood committee is already calling to pressure us. Some of my friends have been receiving these calls recently. They immediately ask, when was your last period? Sometimes they even text. They're asking if you're capable of getting pregnant. Talk about suffocating. Why are they in such a rush? I looked up the birth rate data, and it all made sense. The numbers are grim. Our population growth has been negative for 2 years in a row, with a total fertility rate around 1. What does this mean? It's the second lowest among major global economies. Luckily, South Korea is behind us, or we'd be last.
Users on X have quite a bit to say about China's one-child policy. Thanks to the one-child policy, China has amongst the worst demographics of any country in the world. According to official numbers, China's population is on track to decline from 1.4 billion to 700 million by century's end. According to Melissa Chen on X, new framing just dropped. Having children is a capitalist plot, a Ponzi scheme. Meanwhile, China is obsessing about its declining birth rate because it knows that it is societal suicide. If it can convince the West to reject pronatalism, then it will have achieved what it has long been aiming to do, The supreme order of war is to subdue the enemy without a fight. So what you've got is you've got the Guardian putting out, newspaper articles saying the rights obsession with childless women just isn't ideology. It's essential to the capitalist machine. While you have China and Elon Musk and others urging people to have more kids because it's essential, folks. Not only will we basically not have enough people to sustain our aging population, it's a gift from God to have children. And then it goes on to say, who does Europe think is going to fund the retirements of all those old white Europeans who will be retiring in ever increasing numbers and living longer? Even socialist countries have to worry about that. We have talked on this channel multiple times about the replacement. It's called a theory. It's basically called a conspiracy theory, but you can find it on the United Nations page, their homepage. That replacement is a big deal. And that is what they kind of used as their backdrop for pushing all these illegal immigrants into the Western world, was that we simply weren't having enough children to withstand the population levels that we currently have. So love you guys. Have a blessed day. Please like, comment, subscribe. Let me know what you think.